at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
Scott Baum here from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. Search our big selection of pre-owned cars and trucks by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. Memberships are a great way to support the C.H. Moore Homestead and DeWitt County Museum. Director Joey Long indicates that they rely on museum memberships to host free events as well as fund maintenance on the mansion. She says it warms her heart to have people who care about the museum enough to support it financially.
Yes, so we rely on our memberships, not only the dues, to help the museum do the things they do, like a free Santa night for everyone, but we also, just rely on people taking out a membership to, make the point that, hey, we care about the museum and what they're doing. Take an interest or, support their activities, taking care of the house and the grounds and organizing the festival and putting on all these events and taking care of DeWitt County's history, that involves, curating things and properly storing them and whatnot. So museum membership, it does come with benefits that would include unlimited free admission to daily museum tours, the quilt show, festival house tours, and the evening candlelight tours, unlimited guest privileges with memberships at the $50 level or above. So that means you come, bring your friends, your family, whoever you want, unlimited all year long. Come and see us. So dues are collected every January. People are welcome to join anytime during the year. However, the renewal comes in January. Let's see. You also, with membership, you get a complimentary subscription to the Homestead Gazette, our newsletter. And then just the satisfaction knowing, that you're supporting the museum and our mission statement, to preserve and promote DeWitt County's history and heritage.
There are a few levels of membership, allowing you to make the best decision when it comes to budget and desired benefits. They start with individual $20 memberships and go up to a lifetime membership of $1,000.
So they're available at many levels. Individual membership is $20, family is $30, business is $50, family and guests is $50, supporting is $100, landmark is $200, and then we also have categories of patron at $500 and lifetime at $1,000. Well, it certainly does at family membership would be free admission for anyone in your household. And then the business one, with the business membership, you are listed on our website as a business supporter of the museum. You also receive a decal that you can put in your shop window, whatnot, just to let people know that you are a proud supporter of the DeWitt County Museum Association. And then, it'd be free admission for you, your clients, your employees. Like I've had some that have come in and did like a Christmas thing and just over a Christmas lunch hour party, then brought their employees in because they're members, to walk through the house and see the Christmas decorations. And then at that $50 level, which is family and guests, that bumps you up to where you can bring, you can bring your guests in for free.
Got it. You can learn more about memberships at the DeWitt County Museum by visiting chmoorehomestead.org. You can also learn more about their seasonal candlelight tours, where you can experience the holiday magic of the C.H. Moore homestead. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Monticello schools brace for transportation cuts. Those interested in the extraterrestrial may be interested in an event this weekend at the Warner Library. Emily Dunham with the Warner Library in Clinton indicates that this Saturday, John Burroughs will detail his experience with UFOs while he was in the military as a young adult more than 40 years ago. She notes that the event is free, however, it is 18 and up and requires online registration.
Yes, this Saturday we will have the famous John Burroughs in the building. He's going to come. He's going to talk about his experience, and he's going to have a book that you can purchase. Mm-hmm. The books didn't come in time, right, John? But we're going to be able to take information. He's still going to be able to, if you purchase a book, he'll sign it to you, nice. And then we'll either put it in the mail or you can pick it up at the library. So we're still really excited. We'll have it downstairs in the review room. Again, it might be kind of cold, so bundle up, but we're expecting a pretty good crowd as far as signups have been. Mm-hmm. You can still register for that event on our website, vwarner.org. I just posted the link on Facebook this morning, so get in there. And yeah, we're just so excited to have John. This has been many years in the making. So
I was born and raised in Bloomington Normal, joined the military at 18, was gone for almost 40 years where I was gone with the military, retired after 27 years, was in security forces. And my first duty assignment was where the incident happened way back in 1980. In fact, in December, Christmas night, this year will be 45 years.
Burroughs explains that he and his supervisor saw strange lights come down from the sky and go into the nearby forest. He says they went down the road to investigate further, and after he exited the vehicle, he could tell something wasn't right.
But ultimately, we came on duty Christmas night. It was our last midnight shift. And about 0300, I was riding around with my supervisor, and we were going down by the back perimeter gate. It was called the East Gate, and we were doing a check on it. He was new to the base, so we were getting to know each other. This was the way he had to do it back then. And as we were approaching the back gate, he saw some strange lights in the sky coming down into the forest. Mm-hmm. So he kind of got my attention, which I didn't see him coming into the forest, but I could then see them in the forest. So we looked at each other, and he was in charge. He said, well, do we call it in? And I'm like, I'm not sure. But because it was right outside the gate, within a mile, because mm-hmm. it was hard to gauge at that point, we decided to open the gate and go down to the end of the road. We were now off base. When we got down to the end of the road, which was the edge of the forest where you could go left or right, we turned the vehicle around. I got out, and right away something didn't feel right. There was electricity in the air. Things just fell out of key. Mm-hmm. So we were off base. We ran back up to the gate, or drove back up to the gate. We called it in on the phone. Ended up getting through to CSC from the law enforcement desk, who sent a security unit down. They could see the same thing. So they started making phone calls, and they went to different radar sites, including ours. And evidently, because I can't verify this day, but that's what everybody has said, they saw something on radar over that area where we saw it go into the forest.
This experience inspired Burroughs to begin writing books, not only about what happened, but he also dove into the possible UAP technology. His new book, Veritas Obscura, is a science fiction narrative largely based on real events.
Well, the first book that I put out I did it with a guy by the name of Nick Pope. Anybody that's in ufology knows who he is. I did it with him and the other guy that I was with on the first night. His name was Jim Penniston. It was called Encounters in Rendlesham Forest. And at the time I didn't realize this, but there was a whole thing behind the scenes going on in ufology to start to get this more out mainstream. So this book was a vanilla book, talking a little bit about our encounters. Okay. Second book I did called Weaponization of a UAP, which is available still on Amazon, talks about the technology that we have. And there's a lot of proof that shows it's been developed off UAPs. Mm-hmm. Okay. So these next two books is the fact that the one that we haven't got a published date yet is called Crossing the Thresholds. It discusses everything, all the involvement. I've had involvement with our own government. They denied I was in the military when I first tried to get my records. They said I wasn't in from 79 to 82. All my medical records are classified.
If you want to learn more about Burroughs' experiences, visit the Warner Library on Saturday at 11 a.m. Learn more about the event and register for it by visiting vwarner.org. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 21 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Education advocates in Springfield are warning Illinois school leaders of likely cuts coming to payments like transportation, food services, and special education. Monticello Schools Superintendent Adam Clapp says the legislature often uses fancy terminology like prorated payments. However, at the end of the day, they are cuts and are concerning because of the increased cost to fund many areas of its budget that they rely on the state to help fund.
ISB likes to talk about cuts in terms of like proration. So that's the prorated amount for mandated categoricals, specifically transportation and special ed transportation, is where our funding will be prorated at 71% for regular transportation and 61% for special ed transportation. So that's obviously concerning because pricing of transportation and transporting kids is not level. It is continuing to increase just like everything else in society right now. You know, we're seeing a spike in transportation costs, and not to get that state support is concerning because we still have the bills coming in each month. For us, we have to take a look at utilizing fund balance to make up that difference in what we're seeing in proration, as well as a lot, you know, for us, that CPPRT revenue has to support our transportation fund when we get proration amounts like this. So
while the district's conservative approach to budgeting should serve them well during this time, Clapp worries about other districts that have a heavier dependence on the state of Illinois for their funding.
We're able to manage because we've done a good job over the last several years of managing our funds and in knowing that things like this could come up to where we're going to have to dive into our fund balances to support the transportation fund. But moving forward, if this continues to be a trend, I worry about what that means for schools across the state, because we find ourselves in a very fortunate situation where we have the funds available to support ourselves. But that's not the case for everybody.
Sure.
So even though, you know, the state of Illinois continues to support education and continues to fund the evidence-based funding formula and continue to increase that funding each year, those increased funds for most districts have to go to support the mandated categorical payments that we're not getting each year.
In Monticello, they contract bus services out to Illinois Central School Bus. Clapp says while they know their costs for that service, the cuts will simply mean not having money from the state to cover the entirety of those costs.
So with the contracted service, we know what our contracted amount is going to be each year for the next 3 years. So that's a positive thing. So we kind of track out and we know our exact amounts. We don't specifically employ bus drivers and have like a staffing issue. A lot of people do. So when people talk about bus drivers shortage, Illinois Central School Bus has been a great partner, and we still feel that, but they're the entity they're the business that takes care of those pieces. So for us, we feel fortunate we have a contracted service and a great partner. But that being said, I see down the road that this is going to be a potential issue with, you know, contract increases coming forth and things of that nature. So that's the issue with not having transportation in-house. We aren't purchasing yellow school buses because those prices have gone through the roof as well. So I feel like we are fortunate that we have a great partner, and it's worked out really well for us. And we've been a contracted service for years. Prior to Illinois Central School Bus, we were contracted with the Monticello bus service. So this has been the model here at Monticello for a very long time.
Educators are not sure the extent of the cuts, nor if they will take effect in the next budgeting year for the state of Illinois, but most school leaders are planning for cuts whenever they may come. The second and final weekend of firearm deer hunting in Illinois will feature snow cover across many parts of the state.
It can present some very great opportunities for deer hunting, to be honest. The deer they have a caloric need. They need to go out and eat to stay warm. So there's snow blanketing the ground, the leaves are off the trees, the crops are out of the field. So the sightability can be really good, trying to spot a brown deer against a white blanket of snow. So for the people that are brave enough to get out there, like you said, in the 0 or sub-zero wind chills and climb up a tree, I think there's a great opportunity for finding some deer. Generally speaking, the woods are probably going to be kind of crunchy. They're going to be a little bit louder than maybe fresh rain on a blanket of leaves in the understory. So that hunters will need to take that into consideration. My big advice is just make sure they're dressing warm, dressing in layers. Drink plenty of fluids, even though it's cold. Dehydration can still be a concern. And with these bitter cold temperatures, leave a plan with a friend or a family member. Let them know where you're going to be hunting, when to expect you back.
Dan Skinner is with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. The second and final weekend of firearm deer hunting is yesterday, Thursday through Sunday. Illinois Ag in the Classroom, with a presence at this weekend's Illinois Farm Bureau annual meeting in Chicago. They have invited children's author Chelsea Tornetto. Her latest book is called Seasons in the Farm.
So yeah, I grew up in Southern Illinois. My dad's side of the family are hog farmers and my mom's side are grain farmers. So I have a background in ag on both sides. And so Seasons on the Farm was kind of a natural book for me to write. I'm a rhymer, so it's a rhyming picture book about all the little hints and clues that we see on a farm that the seasons are changing. And so it's beautifully illustrated, and I'm really excited about it.
She will be in the IAA Foundation booth on Saturday. A new program is underway across the state, and it aims to collect unused paint in more than 300 locations. In late October, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency green-lighted Paint Care's Illinois Paint Stewardship Program, which is open to the public. Katie Volger serves as the Education and Outreach Manager at the Ecology Action Center in McLean County.
So this program is put on by Paint Care. This is a organization who has a similar program to this across a lot of different states who have what we call EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility laws. This basically is a way for us to make sure that when a product is produced, there is an equally easy way for businesses and residents to get rid of it properly. When we talk about paint, it was kind of complicated to get rid of paint prior to this program. If you had oil-based paint, you were stuck bringing it to a hazardous waste collection event, of which in our community there was one every year or every other year. If you're a business, you have to pay to get it disposed of because you can't drop it off at one of those collection events. For latex-based paint, you used to have to dry it out fully. And so with this program, residents and businesses can just take it to these 4 drop-offs, of which there's Sherman-Williams on College and Normal, the Sherman-Williams on Krispy Kreme Drive in Bloomington, the RP Lumber on South Main in Bloomington, and the RP Lumber on West Cherry in Leroy. They can take their paint there as long as it is 5 gallons or less to be properly disposed of.
According to Volger, the program is free. However, a small fee applies to the purchase price of each container of new paint sold across the state. The goal of that small fee is to maintain and continue the program. To find a drop-off location near you or to see a list of accepted materials, visit paintcare.org/drop-off-sites. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's DeWittDailyNews.com.
WRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. It's been a closed-door briefing for members of Congress supplying information about the U.S. military strike on suspected drug-running boats. Particular attention paid to one strike in international waters off the coast of Venezuela. The military says the latest attack on a suspected drug-running vessel in the Eastern Pacific killed 4 alleged narco-terrorists. A court appearance expected today for a 30-year-old Virginia man accused of planting 2 pipe bombs, one outside Democratic, the other outside Republican National Committee headquarters in D.C., almost 5 years ago. The U.S. Supreme Court is allowing Texas to use a new Republican-friendly.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Highs level off around 30 today under mainly clear skies, south winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 22 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Highs around 31 tomorrow, cloudy. 1 to 2 inches of snow tomorrow night through Sunday. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 7 degrees above zero.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Clinton Lady Maroons finished out their second win in 2 nights when they beat the Argenta-Oreana Lady Bombers by a final score of 62-31 in non-conference high school girls basketball action on Thursday night in Clinton. The Lady Maroons got ahead early, making the score 24-9 after the first quarter. AO would push back, outscoring Clinton 13-9 in the second quarter to cut the deficit to 22-33 going into the half. Clinton turned on the Jets from there, putting up an additional 29 points in the second half. The Lady Maroons outscored their opponents by a combined 126-55 points over their back-to-back games on Wednesday and Thursday. Clara Dempsey had a double-double with 25 points and 10 assists and made 5 from beyond the arc. Carly Anderson had 15 points, while Avery Smith added 10 points. With the win, Clinton improves to 4-2 and is on a 4-game win streak. AO falls to 1-5. The Lady Maroons will host DMAC on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Tune in tonight as the boys take on the Maroa Forsyth Trojans. Tip-off is at 7:30 p.m., and you can hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Saddled with a losing streak for the first time this season, number 13 Tennessee can expect a spirit Saturday when they take on number 14 Illinois in the Music City Madness Clash in Nashville, Tennessee. The Volunteers fell to Kansas last week in Las Vegas, then lost by 2 points to Syracuse on Tuesday in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Down a point, Tennessee had a chance to win with 7 seconds remaining. Jalen Carey's mid-range jumper missed the mark. Still, the junior's forward play was a bright spot as he scored a career-best 22 points and grabbed 9 rebounds in 23 minutes off the bench. Tennessee turned the ball over 17 times, which Syracuse turned into 24 points. The Volunteers have coughed up double-digit turnovers in all but 2 games this season. Tennessee has also struggled from three-point range lately, shooting 29.1% from distance over the last 3 games. Illinois, though, allows opponents to shoot 40.3% from the floor and 32.1% from three-point land this season. The Illini also rank in the bottom 10 nationally in forced turnovers with 8.8 per game. Illinois has largely won this season by daring its opponents to keep up with its offensive firepower. The Illini rank 14th in Ken Palm's offensive rating metric, and the first time this season that they scored less than 81 points in a single game was their loss to number 5 UConn last Friday. In that defeat, Illinois posted season worst marks in shooting from the floor and three-point range. While Illinois will have to get its offensive groove back, the matchup with Tennessee is a concern too. While Carey will likely leap to the top of the scouting report after his performance against Syracuse, Illinois coach Brad Underwood is focused on Bulls freshman Nate Ament, whose averages 17.1 points and 7.4 rebounds per game. The Illini are led by Kylan Boswell, who averages 17.3 points and 3.9 assists per game. David Merkovich averages a double-double with 14.3 points and 10.0 rebounds per game. On his radio show this week, Underwood also revealed that Zvonimir Isvich came away with a foot injury in the lead-up to the UConn game, and Andrei Stojakovic rolled his ankle in practice that week. Both players struggled offensively against the Huskies, combining for just 7 points on 2 of 14 shooting. Stojakovic averages 16.3 points per game this season. For Tennessee, J.P. Estrella, with 12 points and 5 rebounds per game, missed that game against Syracuse with a right ankle injury. Chicago State visits Illinois State after Doyle Cockrill III scored 21 points in Chicago State's 85-62 victory over the St. Xavier Cougars. The Redbirds are 4-0 in home games. Illinois State scores 80 points while outscoring opponents by 12.7 points per game. The Cougars are 0-7 on the road. Chicago State is 1-6 against opponents with a winning record. Illinois State is shooting 47.5% from the field this season, 2.1% points lower than the 49.6 Chicago State allows to opponents. Chicago State averages 67.9 points per game, 0.6 more than the 67.3 Illinois State gives up to opponents. Johnny Kinziger averages 1.8 made three-pointers for the Redbirds, scoring 13.2 points while shooting 38.1% from beyond the arc. Tyreek Coleman is shooting 55.2% and averaging 13.6 points. Marcus Tankersley is averaging 15.8 points for the Cougars. CJ Ray is averaging 9.8 points. Bradley takes on Northern Illinois after Demarion Burch scored 23 points in Bradley's 64-60 win against the Washington State Cougars. The Braves have gone 3-1 in home games. Bradley is 6th in the MVC at limiting opponents in scoring, giving up 69.8 points while holding opponents to 45.8% shooting. The Huskies have gone 1-4 away from home. Northern Illinois has a 2-4 record against opponents over 500. Bradley scores 74.3 points per game, 5 fewer than the 79.3 Northern Illinois allows. Northern Illinois averages 8.9 made three-pointers per game this season, 1 more made shot on average than the 7.9 per game Bradley gives up. Alex Hubergest is shooting 39.7% from beyond the arc with 3 made three-pointers per game for the Braves while averaging 11 points. Jaquan Johnson is shooting 44.8% and averaging 17.9 points. Mekhi Valentine is averaging 12.3 points and 5.4 rebounds and 1.6 steals for the Huskies. Damar Kelly is averaging 9.9 points. Eastern Illinois hosts Lindenwood after Michi White scored 23 points in Eastern Illinois' 109-62 loss to the Purdue Boilermakers. The Panthers have gone 2-0 in home games. Eastern Illinois allows 77.1 points to the opponents and has outscored them by 16.7 points per game. The Lions are 1-4 on the road. Lindenwood scores 77.8 points while outscoring opponents by 1.2 points per game. Eastern Illinois' average of 5 made three-pointers per game is 3.6 fewer made shots on average than the 8.5 per game Lindenwood gives up. Lindenwood's 43.8% shooting percentage from the field this season is 3.6 percentage points lower than Eastern Illinois has allowed to its opponents. The matchup Saturday is the first meeting this season between the two teams in conference play. Terry McMorris is scoring 11 points per game with 6.5 rebounds and 1 assist for the Panthers. Cooper Jacoby is averaging 10 points and 5 rebounds while shooting 37.3%. Jadis Jones is averaging 15.4 points and 7.4 rebounds and 3 assists for the Lions. Clayton Jackson is averaging 11.5 points. The NFC North leaders are eager to show they're not the same old Chicago Bears who continually took their lumps against the Green Bay Packers over the last 15 years. Chicago snapped an 11-game skid in this rivalry when it ended the 2024 regular season by winning at Green Bay. The Bears, who are 9-3, have built on that momentum this year as they have the NFC's best record and carry a 5-game winning streak into their Sunday matchup with the Packers, who are 8-3-1 at Lambeau Field. Chicago hasn't had a winning season since 2018, but the Bears' emergence doesn't surprise Packers safety Xavier McKinney. McKinney was impressed with the creativity of new Bears coach Ben Johnson when he showed it as Detroit's offensive coordinator when the Lions swept the Packers last season. The Packers are also feeling good about themselves. They've won 3 straight and are eager to regain control of this rivalry. The two teams will face each other twice in a span of 14 days in a pair of games that will go a long way toward determining the NFC North champion. They meet again on December 20th in Chicago. The two matchups between the Packers and the Bears last season both were decided by field goal attempts on the final play. Chicago's Cairo Santos made a 51-yarder in the Bears' 24-22 victory at Green Bay after having a 46-yarder blocked by Carl Brooks to end the Packers' 20-19 triumph at Chicago. Chicago has an NFL-leading +17 turnover margin. The Bears have 26 takeaways, 4 more than any other team. Packers coach Matt LaFleur credits the arrival of former New Orleans Saints coach Dennis Allen as Chicago's defensive coordinator. Chicago might have a tougher time taking the ball away from Green Bay, which hasn't committed a single turnover during its 3-game win streak. Johnson raised some eyebrows Monday when he said the Bears are winning in the spite of the passing game and not because of it. He walked that comment back somewhat the next day. Against Philadelphia last week, Williams was 17 of 36 for 154 yards and finished with the second worst completion percentage of his career with 47.2%. He has completed only 53.2% of his passes in the past 5 games and ranks last in the NFL in accuracy at 58.1% this season, though the issues aren't all on him. In the game against the Eagles, for example, receivers lost their footing on several well-placed throws. Johnson, who had surgery in September, was only 61% of Chicago's defensive plays against Philadelphia after missing the previous 9 games. His only other appearance was in a loss at Detroit in Week 2. Green Bay's Micah Parsons had 6 sacks in his last 3 games to improve his season total to 12.5. He's the first player to have at least 12 in each of his first 5 NFL seasons since the statistics started getting tracked in 1982. See highlights of your local high school programs by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platform, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Mark 30.